Hello, everybody. My name is Kojo the Goat, and I'm back. I know I've been gone damn near a month, but I'm back, and hopefully I'm back for good. One of the reasons that I was gone for so long was I was waiting for this mic to come in, and I was having troubles with hooking it up to my phone because the actual adapter that's supposed to hook up to my phone did not have the correct adapter. So I had to get a whole separate adapter to hook up to that, so that way it would hook up to my phone. And then on June 16th, which is a week ago now, a week and a day, so a week ago, I had hip surgery. So that kind of halted video making, but at the same time, I was really waiting for this mic to come in, and it took way longer than expected, and I apologize for that. I wanted to wait to make a video until the mic came in because I thought the audio improvements would be worth the wait. They're not really. The mic's okay. The audio quality is so-so. But yeah, I'm back. Hopefully back for good. So let's get right into this, shall we? Now that the NBA season has concluded and my Nikola Jokic video aged like fine wine.
This year's Bill Russell Finals MVP goes to Nikola Jokic.
I thought I'd make a video on my biggest disappointment and biggest surprise of the 2023 NBA season. There are a lot of shocks and a lot of disappointments throughout this season. Some honorable mentions before I start this video. The New York Knicks definitely caught me off guard. I did not expect them to have this good of a season. I thought they spent way too much money on Jalen Brunson, which they kind of did. Well, they did at first, but he ended up turning it on at the end of the season and ended up having a pretty great season, almost all-star caliber if he would have played better at the beginning of the year. They turned it around. They made a huge move for Josh Hart, which ended up paying huge dividends in the playoffs. Pretty much won them the first round. Let's see. Big disappointment this year, at least for me, was the Dallas Mavericks. A Western Conference Finals run to not even making the play-in, let alone the playoffs, is a huge disappointment. Just a huge disappointment. They made a huge move for Kyrie Irving, and they ended up finishing 10 wins below their expected win-loss record. So that's pretty horrendous. Some other honorable mentions: the Thunder had a great season, didn't end up making playoffs. But they did make the play-in, almost made the playoffs. So big shout out to the Thunder. Huge improvements coming. I think they could potentially be a playoff team next year. And other than that, let's get right into this. Biggest disappointments and biggest disappointment and biggest surprise of the season. Since we started this video off on such a bad note of me being gone for a month, I thought I'd start the actual video on a good note with my biggest surprise of the season, and that team is the Sacramento Kings. Ever since I started watching the NBA, so around 2017, 2016, the Kings have always just been bad. There has never been like a shining light on the Kings franchise, and it's been pretty sad to watch. They traded DeMarcus Cousins away in 2017, which was like their biggest piece. You know, DeMarcus Cousins was the Kings. When you thought about the Kings, you thought of DeMarcus Cousins. When you thought of DeMarcus Cousins, you thought of DeMarcus Cousins. You didn't really think of the Kings. And he was their shining totem. You know, he was the Kings, and they traded him away. And the move didn't really end up working out for him. Buddy Hield was decent for the Kings. He wasn't anything special. Just a good like trade piece if you wanted to get a big time player, and they ended up using him to get a big time player. Last season was no different for the Kings. They ended up finishing with 30 wins, and they made a move at the trade deadline to get Domantas Sabonis from the Pacers using Buddy Hield and Tyrese Halliburton in their trade package for Domantas Sabonis. And at the time, I thought that trade was horrendous. I thought that trade was just terrible. It didn't really make much sense. You're trading away, a really young piece and a really promising piece in Tyrese Halliburton, and a guy who has so much more trade value than just a borderline all-star center in Buddy Hield. And you're giving those two things up for Domantas Sabonis? Like, it didn't make sense to me at the time, but now that this season has concluded, makes a whole hell of a lot more sense, because the Kings were thinking way further ahead than I and other NBA fans were thinking. Going into this season, the Kings were only expected to get 34 wins, a 4-win improvement from the previous season, but they would end up shocking fans. They started off the season pretty hot. I believe they were a top 3 seed for the first 2 or 3 months of the season, and they consistently stayed at that 3 to 4 seed throughout the entire season. Kings fans would pop out extraordinarily at every game. The crowds were always crazy at Sacramento games.
Back out the Fox, float game, short, loose again, Herter for the lead.
They ended up coming up with a tradition: light the beam.
5 years old, he's still carrying his team.
That brought in even more fans, and it was pretty tremendous to watch. The Kings were actually a relevant franchise in the NBA. Sacramento Kings were no longer being tortured by watching such a horrendous franchise, and it shocked me and the rest of the NBA world. The Kings would produce 2 All-Stars this season in De'Aaron Fox and Domantas Sabonis, and they would make their first playoff push since 2006. 17 years. A 17-year drought. The last time the Kings made the playoffs, I would have been 1.5 years old. That is insane. That's insane. Although the Kings lost in the first round of the NBA playoffs, I still think that they were the biggest surprise this season. I thought that they came out and shocked everyone. I don't think anybody predicted the Kings to be a 3 seed in the West. I think some people may have predicted that they would make a playoff push, but a 3 seed is not what anyone expected. They did a terrific job in the draft. They ended up drafting Keegan Murray, and Davion Mitchell ended up panning out as their 6th man. So props to the Kings. They have rebuilt themselves into a quality NBA team. And now it's on to my biggest disappointment. And this one should not come as a shock to anyone. The Clippers. Just going to come out and say it. The Clippers were my biggest disappointment. And if you're surprised, you shouldn't be. Past 4 years, the Clippers have been one of the favorites to win the finals. Consistently, every single year. All 4 years. They have consistently been a favorite to win the NBA Finals. And they have yet to deliver. And this year was no different. Although the Clippers had a disappointing playoffs in 2022, odds makers still had them as one of the favorites to not only make the finals, but win them, putting them top 5 in finals odds yet again, although they have not produced. However, like the Clippers always do, they would fool the foolish NBA fans like myself. I had high expectations for this Clippers team. They made a huge move to get John Wall in the offseason, signing him to a 2-year, $13 million deal. And it seemed like they had the roster to do it. Kawhi Leonard, Paul George, John Wall, Norman Powell, Ivica Zubac. You had Terrence Mann off the bench, not Trey Mann. Trey Mann plays. No, it is Trey Mann. No, it's Terrence Mann. It's Terrence Mann. Trey Mann plays for the Thunder. Yeah, it's Terrence Mann. Yeah, it's Terrence Mann. You had Terrence Mann coming off the bench. You had Norman Powell coming off the bench. You had, oh, hold on, let me think. You had Batum still. Batum, although he's an old fart, was still there. You know, he's still producing okay. He's a bench player. He's producing fine. They had the depth. They had the stars. They had the superstar. They had the third piece. You know, they had the final piece to the puzzle. And I was thinking, okay, although Paul George and Kawhi Leonard have horrible injury history, you now have John Wall to back them up. You have John Wall to come in and play decent. You have John Wall to just keep the ship afloat when Paul George and Kawhi Leonard inevitably sit out 30 games or 20 games. That did not happen. That did not happen at all. The Clippers would end up giving up on John Wall pretty damn quick because he just didn't play. And neither did Kawhi nor Paul George. They ended up trading him at the deadline back to the Rockets, which that move is so cruel. That made me give up on the Clippers. I think that officially made me just completely give up on the Clippers because it's like, you're really going to do that to poor John Wall? He hasn't played consistently in Lord knows how long, since Christ was a corporal, and you're going to trade him back to the place he hated most? Like, that's just, come on now. But they did end up getting Westbrook. He ended up buying out in Utah and signed with the Clippers. So now it's like, okay, you got rid of John Wall and you brought in better John Wall, pretty much. So it seemed like, okay, Kawhi's going to be ready for the playoffs. Even though Paul George is hurt, you have Russ. You have the depth. You're playing the Suns in the first round, who have no depth. You have the type of defender in Kawhi to be able to defend KD. As long as you can slow down Book, you're fine. You can make a playoff run. And again, they just kept fooling idiot fans like me. Paul George would not play in the playoffs, which was expected, but Kawhi would. In Game 1, he played spectacular. 38 points on tremendous efficiency. They would steal Game 1 from the Suns, and I and other NBA fans could sense it. This is the year. Although it doesn't feel like it, this is finally the year where stupid NBA fans like myself get the prediction right. Finally, the prediction will come to fruition. Clippers, Celtics. It's been the finals prediction for the past 3 years. But hey, this could be the year. This is it. This is finally the year. And Kawhi goes out with another knee injury. And the Clippers lose in 5 fucking games. Anyway, the Clippers yet again disappointed teams like myself, fans like myself. And is it a shock? No. Am I picking the Clippers to make the finals? Actually, am I picking the Clippers to even make the Western Conference Finals? No. Nope. Not anymore. I will not be fooled. But this is going to be the year, of course, where I make my finals pick, and the Clippers make it. That's just how it's going to go. I can just feel it. But yeah, the Clippers, just injury after injury after injury, disappointing move after disappointing move. They have all the depth in the world. They have the stars to do it, and they can just never pull it off. They're like the Celtics. They cannot get over that hump. It just, regardless of what they do, they will never get over that hump. They are cursed. That'll do it for me, though. I might record another video right now. I'm feeling pretty motivated. That was really fun. That's my biggest surprise of the season, my biggest disappointment. Let me know what you guys thought. Let me know who your biggest surprise was or your biggest disappointment was in the comments. And yeah, thank you guys for watching, and I'll see you guys in the next one.